Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Pink Sock Podcast. Gorak is not here right now. I believe it's because of the whole daylight savings time thing. I think we both forgot because my devices automatically change. But, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. My sleep's a little screwed up. So I apologize to Gorak right here, right now, about that misunderstanding. Hopefully he can make it. Excuse me. But I'm going to be discussing Ozzy Osbourne's albums. I'm not going to get too far into lineup changes. That's for a whole nother episode. This is just my rankings. If you want Gorak's rankings, I will have him leave a comment below, or if he tunes in to let us know what his ranking is, we can go ahead and cover it then and there. Now, before I jump too much into his official discography and what albums I think is the worst to best, I would like to do a little disclaimer. I do not think any of his albums are horrible. I love every single Ozzy album for its own separate reasoning. Hi Sparks, thanks for joining. I love every Ozzy Osbourne album for their own separate reasons. Just there are some that, that's what a ranking is. I have to pick and choose. Thank you everyone for listening, by the way. Thank you for tuning in and listening to my opinions of the Ozzy Osbourne albums. Before I get started ranking these albums, I would like to give a little bit of a backstory about Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy, of course, as you all know, he was the front man of Black Sabbath before he went solo, and before he did anything else. He sung for Black Sabbath from the beginning of the band, which the band was founded in, I believe, 1968. Yeah, 1968. He was the singer of Black Sabbath from 1968 up until, actually, a lot of people do not realize this, he actually left or quit or was fired, whatever, from Black Sabbath in 1976 or 1977. They were at a crossroads. Ozzy was dealing with creative freedom, so he ended up seeking his dad for advice and support, in which he formed the band Blizzard of Ozz, which only was around for maybe 3 months. It had two different lineups. The first one consisted of members of Necromandus, which was drummer Frank Hill, bassist Dennis McCartan, and guitarist Barry Dunnery. Now, their connection goes way back to 1969, because they all would go see Black Sabbath live, and they ended up forming this band together. Now, this lineup ended up fizzling out. And another fun fact, Tony Iommi actually produced their other band's album, Orexis of Death. Now, the band was shelved for unknown reasons, but the band kind of died out because they had issues replacing Barry Dunnery because he left. Frank Hill tried to make it in other bands, but it was kind of a slow start. Ozzy ended up forming another version of Blizzard of Ozz. And that version, there's very little known about this version. And by the way, I'm going to pop up a picture of the original Blizzard of Ozz, because there is a photo that I found quite interesting. This is the original lineup of Blizzard of Ozz right here. That is Frank Hill, that is Ozzy Osbourne, and that is Baz Dunnery. The photo was taken in Ozzy's garden in 1976. Fun little backstory about Ozzy's career. Then he ended up doing a second venture, which consisted of members of Dirty Tricks, drummer Andy Birney, guitarist John Benny, and bassist Terry Horbury. And that was under the management of Don Arden, who was also the manager of Black Sabbath at the time. Now, Don wanted there for a while to get Ozzy back in Sabbath, of course, naturally. But with this version of the band, it didn't really last. Now, they did write music together. They did audition and everything. Not audition, but they did write some music, but it never saw the light of day. Supposedly, the rehearsal tapes are available somewhere in somebody's basement somewhere. But I'm not quite certain if we will ever see that. But that was the early forms of Ozzy's solo career, which was known as Blizzard of Oz. Now, Blizzard of Oz ended up dismantling even that version, and Ozzy went back to Black Sabbath to record what turned out to be their last album. Now, Ozzy was on the album before that, Technical Ecstasy. He toured it. They ended up splitting, and then they did Never Say Die together. Thank you, Sparks. And I do my research, but most of the stuff I kind of already slightly knew, and I have some notes. I'm not going to get too far into the different lineups once he went solo, because there was touring lineups, there was album lineups. It all blends together, and it is hard to get into. But Ozzy ended up going back to Black Sabbath. He did the Never Say Die album, which, fun fact, Sabbath actually did replace Ozzy Osbourne during his venture Gone. But that singer never really saw a light of day on an album. But that singer's was trying to remember his name, Dave Walker. Dave Walker was in the band briefly. He even wrote music. Hi, Jackie. Good morning. He did write music for Sabbath, but he never really saw his time on that album. There is 1 or 2 songs credited to him. Ozzy refused to sing any songs on that album, which turned out to be one of the songs was instrumental, and the other one was sung by Bill Ward, their drummer. Now, Ozzy then was with Sabbath for that one album. The album was not a commercial success. Sabbath had issues finding the same fame and the same notoriety that they once had. So they ended up getting rid of Ozzy in favor of Ronnie James Dio. Then Ozzy Osbourne went solo officially. He officially went solo November 1979, in which we saw him get with Dana Strum on bass briefly, Randy Rhoads on guitar, Lee Kirkslake on drums, and Don Airey and Lindsey Bridgewater on keyboard, depending on the touring lineup or the album. But Dana didn't last very long and was replaced by Bob Daisley. Now that they had all the members covered, this is when Ozzy Osbourne released his debut album, Blizzard of Oz. Great album. I'm going to go through kind of the albums and the lineups before I officially rank them. Blizzard of Oz came out in 1980, and it set the tone of Ozzy a little bit. It was a heavy metal album, hard rock by today's standards. It was released September 12th, 1980 in the UK, March 27th, 1981 in the US. It was recorded at the Ridge Farm Studio in Rusper, England. This album featured the lineup of Ozzy Osbourne, Randy Rhoads, Bob Daisley, Lee Kirkslake, and Don Airey. Great fucking album. If you haven't heard it, are you living under a rock? Because this is an epic album for Ozzy. This was his debut. Then he went on in 1981 and released on October 1981 Diary of a Madman, which was recorded at the same studio. It was featuring the lineup of Ozzy Osbourne, Randy Rhoads, Rudy Sarzo then joined the band. He was given credit on the album, but Daisley wrote the music. That was kind of a controversy at the time. Tommy Aldridge on drum and percussion. However, if I'm not mistaken, Tommy Aldridge was credited, but he did not appear. The drummer on the actual album was not Tommy Aldridge. The drummer on the album was Lee Kirkslake still. Now, I forgot to mention the music that was on Blizzard of Oz. Sorry, I'm getting way ahead of myself. Blizzard of Oz featured the hit songs Crazy Train, Goodbye to Romance, Suicide Solution, Mr. Crowley, and it had many other great tunes like I Don't Know. Diary of a Madman featured the hit songs Over the Mountain, Flying High Again, and a song that I think is very epic and probably one of the most epic Ozzy tracks ever, Diary of a Madman. Now, unfortunately, during that tour, Randy Rhoads died in a tragic plane crash, leaving Ozzy without a guitarist. Now, he had two different guitarists come through the band. One didn't last as long as the other. They did, however, release a album. It was a live album, so I'm not including it in the rankings, but it's fun to note there was a live album from 1982 called Speak of the Devil, which featured Brad Gillis on guitar, who was the replacement of Randy Rhoads. He was the guitarist of Night Ranger. He ended up leaving Ozzy to go back to Night Ranger because it just wasn't a good fit. Speak of the Devil was nothing but Black Sabbath covers. Then Ozzy released in December 1983, he released Bark at the Moon. This album was a little different. It changed to more of a synth-infused pop metal sound instead of his hard rock metal. It was more of like a glam metal kind of sound. This album featured the debut of Jakey Lee on guitar. We saw Bob Daisley again on the album. Tommy Aldridge, this was kind of his debut on an album, even though he got credit on the last one, he didn't actually play on it. This lineup is very underrated in my opinion. Then we move on to 1986. Ozzy had a few lineup changes between that album, between Bark at the Moon and Ultimate Sin. Ultimate Sin was recorded at the Townhouse Studios and Air Studios in London. I think all these albums were recorded in London. This album was the second and last album to feature Jakey Lee on guitar. And it was the first to feature Randy Costello and bassist Phil Soussan, who co-wrote the hit single Shot in the Dark. This album featured, of course, the hit Shot in the Dark. That was, I think, the only song that was a single on the album. I could be mistaken, but there are a lot of great tunes on this album, like Ultimate Sin, there's Lightning Strikes, like there's a lot, Thank God for the Bomb, there's a lot of great tracks on this album. Thank you, Jackie, for tuning in. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you enjoy this episode, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the share button. Now, we're quickly moving on. In 1987, they decided to release the tribute album, which was another live album which featured live performances with Randy Rhoads. It was a tribute to Randy Rhoads that they decided to do. Then in 1988, on September 28th, 1988, Ozzy Osbourne released his fifth studio album, No Rest for the Wicked. It was recorded at the Enterprise Studios and Goodnight LA Studios in Los Angeles, California. So I'm mistaken. He started recording in Los Angeles. See, even I can be wrong. Now, this creative direction was a little different. It featured the debut of Zakk Wylde on guitar, which is a fun note. This lineup consisted of Ozzy Osbourne, Zakk Wylde, Bob Daisley, Randy Costello, and John Sinclair. This album was incredible. It had great songs on it like Miracle Man, Crazy Babies, Breaking All the Rules, Bloodbath in Paradise, Fire in the Sky, Tattooed Dancer, Demon Alcohol. Lots of great songs. This is a very underrated album if you're not a casual listener. Thank you, Blacklight District, for tuning in, brother. Much love. I'd love to have you back on the show soon. But No Rest for the Wicked, beautiful album. Much like any Ozzy album. Then in 1990, we did see a live EP by Ozzy Osbourne, which it's not part of the ranking, but it's nice to note. This album features Ozzy Osbourne on vocals, Zakk Wylde on guitar, Geezer Butler on bass. He was in and out of the band a lot. We didn't see him on as many albums as we should have, but Geezer Butler on bass, who is the bassist of Black Sabbath, Randy Costello on drums, and John Sinclair. I found it interesting when Geezer was in and out of Sabbath, he was in Ozzy's band. Very interesting side note. And then we saw in hold on. Hit the wrong button. There we go. And then we saw in 1991, Ozzy Osbourne on September 17th, 1991, release his final album, No More Tears. It was billed as his, not really his final album, but it was billed as his final tour, because Ozzy, I believe at the time, was diagnosed with Parkinson's, I believe. I could be mistaken, but he was diagnosed with something that would have prevented him from touring. So he released No More Tears. And then he did his first ever No More Tours tour, which we'll get into that later. But this album was recorded at the A&M and Devonshire Studios in Los Angeles. This album was another hard rock, glam metal, heavy metal album. It featured Ozzy Osbourne, of course, on vocals, Zakk Wylde on guitars, Bob Daisley on bass, John Sinclair, Randy Costello on drums, and Michael Inez. However, Mike Inez did not play on the album. He was just the inspiration and musical direction. He was in the band for touring schedules, but he was not in the band for the album for whatever reason. Moving on, Ozzy released a live album, of course, Live and Loud, which featured Mike Inez on bass. He was back in the band for the live tour, for the touring of No More Tears. Then Ozzy announced that retirement sucks. He did a Retirement Sucks tour. Apparently, his illness was not as bad as he thought, so he went on tour. And then he released on October 23rd, 1995, his comeback album, Osmosis, which I am very glad he came out of retirement, because Osmosis is an amazing album. It has songs like Perry Mason, I Just Want You, Ghost Behind My Eyes, Thunder Underground, Tomorrow, My Jackal Doesn't Hide, Old LA Tonight. Great freaking tunes. Even the bonus track, Amy, awesome. This lineup featured Ozzy Osbourne, Zakk Wylde, Geezer Butler, and Dean Castronova, which I love Geezer's writing. So this was an incredible album. The album also featured Steve Vai on guitar on the song My Little Man. It also featured songwritings by Lemmy Kilmister of Motorhead. He wrote the song See You on the Other Side, and we will see Lemmy in and out of the band writing music on the albums. Then we fast forward like 6 years. On October 16th, 2001, we saw Ozzy release his album Down to Earth. This album featured the lineup of Ozzy Osbourne, Zakk Wylde, the debut of Robert Trio on bass, who was formerly of Suicidal Tendencies, later on Metallica, and Mike Bordin on drums. This album was recorded in the Henson Recording Studios in Los Angeles, California. Great album. It's one of his heavier albums. Features the song Get Me Through, Dreamer. Those are the two singles, but it has other great songs like Facing Hell, No Easy Way Out, That I Never Had. Amazing album. I love it. Then we move on. This album I am not including in my ranking because it is a covers album, but it is the only covers album and the only Ozzy album that features Jerry Cantrell on guitar. It has Jerry Cantrell on guitar, Mike Wise on bass, Mike Bordin on drums. This album was recorded in various studios, one of them including Abbey Road, the legendary Abbey Road. It's just an all covers album. Check it out, though. It's an amazing album. I just don't think it's fair to put a covers album up against studio albums. Then in 2007, Ozzy released his album Black Rain on May 22nd, 2007. I remember buying this CD. It was in a CD form when I bought it, and it came with a free Ozfest tickets because he was doing Free Fest at the time. Unfortunately, I was not able to go, though. This album features the lineup of Ozzy Osbourne, Zakk Wylde, the debut of Rob Blasco Nicholson on bass, and Mike Bordin on drums. This album was recorded at the Music Machine in Beverly Hills, California. And this album featured his hit songs, Not Going Away, I Don't Want to Stop. Those are the two songs that you might recognize from the album. The entire album is worth a listen, like most of his albums are worth a listen. Then he released on June 11th, 2010, one of his first albums, I think his first album in a long time without Zakk Wylde on guitar. Even though Zakk was in and out of the band through touring lineups, he was on damn near every album up to this point, other than the Randy Rhoads and Jakey Lee era. He released Scream with Gus G on guitar, Rob Blasco on bass, Adam Wakeman on keyboards, Tommy Clufetus on drums, but it's credit only. He actually didn't play on the album. Kevin Churko did, who produced the album with Ozzy. Now, this album featured the hit song Let Me Hear You Scream. There's a lot of other great songs on here. A lot of people didn't like this album because Gus G kind of mirrored Zakk's playing, according to some people, from what I've spoken to. I love the album personally. That's not something to hate the man for. What's broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean? What's not broke, don't fix it. Then, somewhat recently, on February 21st, 2020, after he was diagnosed with Parkinson's, at least publicly admitted to it, he may have had it longer than that, Ozzy Osbourne released on February 21st, 2020, after not touring for a while. I saw Ozzy in 2018, I believe, on his No More Tours tour twice. And he had promise of coming back on the road, but due to the pandemic, he didn't. And I believe he really wanted to do the tour. He had tour dates set, but due to his health, he just can't tour like he used to. And you can't hate the man for that. I mean, Parkinson's is a tough disease to fight. The fact he was even on stage at all, he played at like a halftime show. He played he did shows, just not full performances, like full set lists, and no touring. But I do see Ozzy getting on a stage for a full set list sometime in the near future. Just I don't see him touring like he used to. But that's besides the point. On February 21st, 2020, Ozzy Osbourne released Ordinary Man. I'm not sure where it was recorded because it doesn't say the location, but the label was Epic Studios, and it was produced by Andrew Watt and Louis Bell. This album was a little bit different of a creative direction. A lot of people were a little upset by a couple facts about this album because Zakk Wylde rejoined the band in 2000, I want to say 17 maybe. And he did that 2018 festival schedule, and then he did a few tour dates before the pandemic really hit. But he's not featured on the album. Instead, Andrew Watt is. However, this album does not have a real official Ozzy lineup because he wasn't touring it. There's no way to really say who the lineup was. So the album, I'll just say, features Ozzy Osbourne on all the tracks, of course, and he plays harmonica on 2 tracks. Then you have Andrew Watt on vocals, guitar, keyboards, piano, bass, programming, production, composition. He pretty much helped lay down the album. Then you have Louis Bell on keyboards on 1 track, Duff McKagan on drums and percussion on tracks 1 through 11, Slash on guitar on 2 tracks, Tom Morello, guitar on 2 tracks, Charles Puth, keyboards on a few tracks, Elton John was on 1 track. That was Ordinary Man. Post Malone did co-lead vocals on 2 tracks. You have Travis Scott. Kelly Osbourne did backing vocals. Lizzie Ball did violin. There's a whole lineup. You can actually find it on Wikipedia. A whole lineup. This album was pretty much just Ozzy and friends. The only person that was on damn near every single track was Chad Smith on drums. He actually played on every track on drums. And then, of course, Ozzy Osbourne on lead vocals. Then we move on to an album that a lot of people didn't think was going to happen because they thought Ordinary Man was going to be his last. Ozzy surprised us by, on September 9th, 2022, releasing Patient Number 9, which to this date is Ozzy's last album. He won Best Rock Album for this one. He won awards for the other ones that I didn't really get into, and I apologize for that. But this one was another Epic Records production. It was produced, of course, again by Andrew Watt, but this one had some promise because Zakk Wylde was back temporarily, but he was back. The album, well, the previous album, I forgot to mention hits. The singles on Ordinary Man was Ordinary Man featuring Elton John, Under the Graveyard, and It's a Raid featuring Post Malone. And then, of course, the song Take What You Want From Me, which was a bonus track. Patient Number 9, the hit song, the single was Patient Number 9 featuring Jeff Beck. He also had a great lineup of songs, Immortal with Mike McCready, Parasite featuring Zakk Wylde, No Escape From Now featuring Tony Iommi of Black Sabbath, One of Those Days featuring Eric Clapton, 1,000 Shades featuring Jeff Beck, Mr. Darkness featuring Zakk Wylde, Nothing Feels Right featuring Zakk Wylde, Evil Shuffle featuring Zakk Wylde, Degradation Rules featuring Tony Iommi. Sorry, I can't fucking speak today. And then Dead and Gone, God Only Knows, and Dark Side Blues. This song features a cast of people, as you just heard, like a great cast of people, a lot of co-writers. Now that I have covered every single album from Rest in Peace, Jeff Beck. This was actually one of Jeff Beck's last appearances on an album to this date, as far as I know. Now it's time for me to rank them. I'm going to start from worst to best. And I don't feel I have to defend myself in any way. Number 12, I'm going to do Ordinary Man. Well, I did love this album. It was an incredible album. It is not some of Ozzy's best work, in my opinion. It is a very personal album, though, to him, and it is very personal towards his Parkinson's diagnosis. There's a lot of really dark lyrics on this album, a lot of mortality question, like you're questioning your own immortality. Great album, though, nonetheless. Number 11, I'm going to do Scream. Scream was a great album. Gus G did a great job. There's a lot of good songs, but there's also a lot of songs on this album that, like, I wouldn't listen to every single day if I was to listen to Ozzy. So I have to give Scream the number 11 spot. Number 10, Patient Number 9. Out of Ozzy's recent albums, Patient Number 9 is probably the best one out of any of the ones released from 2010 to 2022, which is only like 3 albums, but still, it's the better of the 3. It's a great album. Ozzy did an amazing job. If this is his last album, which I hope not, I've heard he's recording again, so hopefully that's the case. But if this was his last album, it was a great album. It was a fantastic album. But if anybody has earned retirement and rest when it comes to music, it is Ozzy fucking Osbourne. Moving on, Black Rain, 2007. I was going to rank this one a little higher on a personal level because this was the first Ozzy Osbourne album that I was able to purchase and listen to from beginning to end when it was released. Yes, I was around in like the early to mid 2000s. Yes, I heard the music, but I never got to sit down and actually listen to an Ozzy Osbourne album from beginning to finish, and I did with a friend of mine for Black Rain. Excellent album, very political at points, which is not really an Ozzy thing that he does a lot, which makes the album kind of odd and stand out amongst the rest. But he does get political, though. Black Sabbath was a very political band, but this one touched a little bit more on the political side of Ozzy, which is fine, which is perfectly fine. Hold on one second. Gorak has just gotten a hold of me. He may be joining us. We have daylight savings time issues. All right, Gorak was just texting me. Let's see if he's going to join us. But anyway, before that, I'll just keep going. Black Rain featured great music. It wasn't an album that a lot of people gravitate towards as their favorite, but it is a great album nonetheless. A really good early 2000s album. Not early 2000, sorry, late 2000, like it came out in 2007, but it's like an early, I don't know, mid to late 2000s. It's hard to describe the 2000s because you got the 2000s, the 2010s, the 2000, but it's the late 2000s. Black Rain, great album. Doesn't get enough credit in my opinion. Then number 8, I'm going to do, sorry if I'm a little distracted, we have Gorak possibly joining us. If he can. Then we have in 1986, Ultimate Sin, number 8, Ultimate Sin. Great album, great music. Gorak did make the point that some of the songs does sound very Van Halen-y, which is not a bad thing necessarily. But there are moments when it sounds very cliche to the 80s. But it is a great album nonetheless. Jakey Lee did a great job when it comes to Ultimate Sin. I love Jakey Lee's era, don't get me wrong. But number 8, Ultimate Sin. Number 7 was a hard spot for me to choose because it came down to 2 albums. 2 albums that I really love. 2 albums that are great. But I had to go with Osmosis. Osmosis, great fucking album. Don't get me wrong. Incredible goddamn album. I love it. Osmosis is the album that pretty much started him getting a little heavier and more metal. Gorak will be joining us momentarily. He is running late. Yes, Renee. Black Rain is good. I should have told Gorak about Daylight Savings Time. It's my fault. We can just go over his ranking when he joins us. Osmosis, as I said, amazing album. I love every song on this album from beginning to end. I love Geezer Butler's bass playing. I love all of the shit on the album. The song Amy, if you ever get a chance, that one's a bonus track on the album, but it's a very sad bonus track. He's singing to his daughter because he wasn't there for her. So it's a very sad album in a way. A lot of the songs is pretty much Ozzy singing to his wife. He sings about Perry Mason. Like, it's all over the place when it comes to like musical, like lyrical style, but it's still a great album. Ozzy, you fucking rock. Keep rocking, brother. But Down to Earth is number 6 for me. I was gonna I kept swapping Osmosis and Down to Earth, kept swapping them, but I chose to stick with what I've got. The reasoning why I ranked Down to Earth a little higher is because there's more songs on this album that I can really gravitate towards and that I really love. I love the opening track, gets me through. It's basically Ozzy singing about himself and all the, a lot of people misunderstand him, or a lot of people think he's this evil entity when he's not. He's a songwriter, yeah, but he's not an evil entity. He's not the Iron Man. He's not the Antichrist. Facing Hell, amazing song. Dreamer, very different song for this album because it's a heavier song, but then you get hit with Dreamer, which is a piano track. I'm glad they did stay together too. There's a lot of fucked up things about their relationship. That's not my place to judge. And I never would. There was some abuse and stuff there, but they got through it. But great song, Junkie, is basically Ozzy singing about being a junkie. Great fucking song. I love this whole album. If you get a chance, listen to it from beginning to end. I'll say that for every album though. My next choice is number 5, Bark at the Moon from 1983. Now, I did rank this kind of low. I know a lot of people might disagree with me, but I do love Bark at the Moon. It's a great fucking album. Classic Ozzy. Jakey Lee, another great Jakey Lee album. But I'm more into like the heavier side of Ozzy, or more of the classical rock kind of side of Ozzy. This was more of a hard rock album. Great album, nonetheless. I can listen to it over and over and over. but when compared to the next few albums, it just didn't hit it as much as these albums did for me personally. All right, we are reaching the top 4 because I just did Bark at the Moon. We're at the top 4 Ozzy albums. Number 4, Ozzy's final album, No More Tears. If his career would have ended at No More Tears, it would have been very sad, but it is a great album. Fantastic, great songs, great track. Mr. Tinker Train, I Don't Want to Change the World, Mama, I'm Coming Home, Desire, No More Tears, Sin, Hellraiser, which is written by Killmeister, and Mama, I'm Coming Home was written by Killmeister too, and so was Desire. Zombie Stomp, Time After Time, AVH, Road to Nowhere. All of these are great fucking tracks. So this would have been a great final album if that was the case for Ozzy, which I'm glad it wasn't, but great fucking album. My number 3 choice, No Rest for the Wicked. That album was incredible. It was the debut of Zakk Wylde. It is probably one of the best, if not the best, album to feature Zakk Wylde. It had such amazing songs: Miracle Man, Crazy Babies, Devil's Daughter, Breaking All the Rules, Bloodbath Paradise, Fire in the Sky, the entire track list, Demon Alcohol. Great fucking album. Great fucking album. Yes. Please do. I can tell you my favorite songs, but not favorite albums. Go ahead. Comment below. Comment in the live section. Let me know your favorite Ozzy albums or your favorite songs. Go ahead and I will read them. And if you're commenting after the live, I will comment back. No Rest for the Wicked, incredible album. And I do believe it was one of the, if not the last Ozzy album to feature. No, it wasn't. No More Tears was the last one to feature Bob Daisley. No Rest for the Wicked, great fucking album. Now, we are the top 2 albums. Now, this was really hard, and just so happened to be this was Ozzy's first 2 albums. They are hard to judge. They are harder than a motherfucker to judge. I swapped these back and forth multiple times. I swapped all Ozzy albums multiple times. But I'm going to have to say that my second favorite Ozzy Osbourne album is Blizzard of Oz. His debut album from 1980. It is actually listed 9th on the Rolling Stones list for 100 greatest metal albums of all time. This was the debut album of Oz, and this was the first album, of course, with Randy Rhoads. Mr. Crowley, amazing song. Amazing song. And Mr. Crowley was actually on Blizzard of Oz. A great song. Changes is great, but that's actually a Beatles cover, I do believe, ain't it? No, it's not. It's a Black Sabbath cover. Sorry. I was thinking of a different song. Changes was from the 1972 Black Sabbath album, Volume 4. That's right. Sorry, I have to think things through. My brain is full of all kinds of crazy shit. Ozzy did sing it, Renee. They actually redid it with Kelly. I just had a dumbass attack. But it was a Black Sabbath tune originally. Blizzard of Oz, great album. That's my second favorite Ozzy Osbourne album. It features Crazy Train, which still to this day is the most recognizable Ozzy song ever. Goodbye to Romance, Suicide Solution, which Suicide Solution got him in trouble. He got sued for that song. And because a kid killed himself, or unalived himself, I should say. And they were trying to blame Ozzy for that song, when the song Suicide Solution is actually about alcohol. It's a solution that people, drink too heavily, and they accidentally, sometimes accidentally, sometimes purposely, But anyway, great album. That, of course, leaves my number one Ozzy Osbourne album, Diary of a Madman. Now, Diary is it's a beautiful fucking album. It's a very underrated album. Over the Mountain, Flying High, those are two incredible songs. However, of course, you can't kill Rock and Roll Believer. But when you go to side two, you get like epic songs like Tonight and Diary of a Madman. Diary of a Madman, to this day, Diary of a Madman is probably the most epic heavy metal song ever. It is a very epic song. Hold on one second. Let me reply to Gorak. He's going to be coming very shortly. Hold on. Anyway, Diary of a Madman, beautiful fucking song. The whole album, amazing. I wish I could have seen Ozzy during the Diary tour, and I wish Ozzy would. And I know it's hard to do now. It's a really hard song to play live. He rarely ever does it, but Diary of a Madman live would have been freaking incredible. Really incredible. Now, what I would have loved to have heard, now that I did my ranking and that's out of the way, what I would have loved to have heard is, or hear, because they do exist, the rehearsal tapes of the original Blizzard of Oz. Because when Blizzard of Oz, the album, before the album came about, the band actually thought it was going to be a band, not a solo thing. They found out that it was going to be a solo thing when the album started getting pressed and released. As far as I know, I wasn't there. I don't know, just as far as I know. So Blizzard of Oz turned out to be an album, not the band that it originally was. There was a lot of legal issues within the Ozzy camp. I do know that much, between Bob Daisley and Ozzy, because Bob Daisley didn't get songwriting credits on an album or two or three, maybe, I don't know, but he didn't get the songwriting credits that he deserved. And he was in and out of the band a lot during that time. Renee, I gotta watch Little Nicky. that was a great scene of a movie. Ozzy was in a lot of great movies too. He was in what was the name of that movie? Trick or Treat, I think was the name of it, where he played a priest. He did The Osbournes, which was an incredible show. He actually ended up injuring himself, I believe, during the Down to Earth thing, the Down to Earth tour or whatever. They had to postpone the album due to him injuring his neck. I believe that was the album. It might have been Black Rain. I've got my dates all screwy Louie. But yeah, like Ozzy, incredible. Ozzy did write a lot of great music with Sabbath. Unfortunately, due to his drug abuse problems, he was kicked out of Sabbath and did his whole solo thing. But he's had a lot of different lineup changes. He's had a lot of different in and outs, and I'm glad he's still around, and I'm glad he's still able to release music. He might not be touring like he once did, but also, here's another fun note about Ozzy. He is one of the few people to be on the Birmingham Walk of Stars and the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He was also inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2006 under Black Sabbath. I don't think solo he is in the Hall of Fame yet. No. However, he is in the WWE Hall of Fame. He's in the WWE Hall of Fame. No, Black Rain would have been too late because he injured his neck during the Osbournes, I believe in 2001. It was a quad bike accident. It was 2003. So the album in question that was postponed would have been, yeah, probably Black Rain. You might be right. You very well might be right. It was either Black Rain or Undercover. It was Undercover that was postponed due to his neck thing. I'm glad he's better from that. Yeah, it was because Black Rain, he would have been fully recovered and already have been working on the album. It was Undercover. It was definitely Undercover. Now his current lineup, or his last lineup, I should say, was Ozzy Osbourne, Zakk Wylde, Blasco, Adam Wakeman, and Tommy Clufetus. I am really hoping that like he does do a show there. Like I've said, Ozzy has been an inspiration to many. He's a legendary vocalist. He actually did sue over the Black Sabbath stuff. In 2010, Osbourne and Noami decided to discontinue the court proceedings over the ownership of the Black Sabbath trademark. As reported to Blabbermouth, both parties are glad to put this behind them and cooperate in the future. That kind of shaped up the Black Sabbath reunion, kind of. But my thought is we will cover this next week too. Sabbath went on without Ozzy for years. The main songwriters of that band was typically Tony Iommi and Geezer Butler. Nothing against Ozzy. Ozzy's a great vocalist. But growing up, I start to realize that Black Sabbath was more than just Ozzy. Now, let's go over some of Ozzy's tours, shall we? Because he's done a lot of them. He's tough. He's a tough guy. Anyway, Ozzy's tour schedule was Blizzard of Oz from 1980 to 81, Diary of a Madman 1981 to 1982, Speak of the Devil tour, which we got a live album of that, 82 to 83, Bark at the Moon tour 83 to 85, Ultimate Sin 86, No Rest for the Wicked. Ozzy took a year off and then he did the No Rest for the Wicked tour 1988-89, Theater of Madness tour, which he took 2 years off, 91-92. Then Ozzy Osbourne did the No More Tours tour in 92. Then in 95, he did the Retirement Sucks tour, which I think is a fucking hilarious name, through 95 to 96. He did the Ozman Cometh tour in 98 after taking 2 years off. Around this time, Ozzy would take like a year or two off each tour. The Ozman Cometh 98. Then he took 2 years off. He did the Merry Mayhem tour in 2001. He did the Down to Earth tour in 2002, so he started having a regular schedule again. Then he took, for the Osbournes, he took about 5 years off touring, and then he did the Black Rain tour in 2008. Then he did the Scream World tour, 2010 to 2011, after 2 years off. Then he did Ozzy and Friends tour in 2012. And then Ozzy took 5 years off. Now, these breaks in between doesn't mean that he wasn't doing anything. He was doing like Black Sabbath. He was doing the TV show. He was doing all kinds of shit. As Renee said in the chat, I think Mobile separating from Black Sabbath as you need to do to get his career, I think he did way better solo than he did in that band. On and off. I mixed with that because I do love his time with Sabbath too. I love Sabbath. Then Ozzy did his No More Tours 2 tour in 2018, and then that's kind of it. As for movies he was in and shows, as Sparks stated, he was in the Trolls movie. He was also in Trick or Treat from 1986. He was in Decline of the Western Civilization Part 2, The Metal Years. He was in the Jerky Boys movie. He was in South Park as himself, Little Nicky, Moulin Rouge. No, sorry, I mispronounced that. Moulin Rouge, something like that. My memory's shit. Not my memory, but my fucking speech is shit.
Hey, man.
Hey, dude, I just did the ranking. I'm going over what films he was in, and then I'll let you rank them. But I will do a quick rundown.
Man. I was fucking, sleep.
You're good, bro. We had daylight savings time. I wasn't sure if that affected you or not. I forgot to tell you.
Really? Yeah, wait. I thought your daylight savings time, because on here it's meant to be 4 o'clock.
Yeah, we've been going for about 52 minutes.
Really? Wait,
yeah.
So did your daylight savings end?
We went back.
Oh, really? Because my daylight savings gets extended to the end of the month.
I believe it went back or went forward. I don't know which one it fucking did. I think it went back. My clock automatically changes, so I don't really have to worry about daylight savings time. When I was living in Phoenix, we never did it. But
That's fucking weird.
Right? But it is currently for me 12:53 p.m. So for future reference, Gorak, the time did change. I'm sorry that I didn't tell you. I completely forgot. Ozzy was on an episode of Howard Stern. He was in Noami Juliet. He was in the game Brutal Legend. Like, he was in a lot of shit. Now, let's get to Gorak's list because I'm interested. My list, Gorak, was from worst to best: Ordinary Man, Scream, Patient Number 9, Black Rain, Ultimate Sin, Osmosis, Down to Earth, Bark at the Moon, No More Tears, No Rest for the Wicked, Blizzard of Oz, and Diary of a Madman.
Oh, dude, we were so very similar.
What was yours?
You ready? Hey guys, sorry that my week's been fucking rough, dude.
You're good, man. I totally understand. I just said I'll just go live and you'll come in if you come in.
Yeah, all right. So, because I didn't have, if I was really good at technology, then I can edit everything, like steal the video and edit everything and put it back on as live.
Yeah, put it back on as live.
Yeah, Kanak, you're doing that for me.
But go ahead, brother.
So from least to favorite, and I've listened to all of them within 3 days. And the smart thing to do, and I worked it out. If you listen to 2 Aussie albums a day, or 3 album Aussies a day, you can get it done.
Damn, dude, you're dedicated.
Yeah, because there's only 12 albums.
Well, technically there's 13, but we're not doing Undercover because it was a cover album.
I didn't put. If I was ranking cover albums, then I'll probably rank that at number 5.
It was a great album, and actually, did you listen to it?
Bits of it, yeah.
It's actually the only album to date that has Jerry Cantrell on lead vocals.
Oh, that's all right.
But go ahead,
so from least to favorite, I put Patient Number 9.
Oh, come on, man. It was a great album.
The Post Malone thing put me off.
That's why I did it.
They're like that with the auto tune, and like to me it was just all commercial, like very, very, very commercial. Fucking.
That's why I did Ordinary Man at least, because that one's the one that had Post Malone on 2 tracks.
Oh, I thought it was on Patient Number 9.
No, you got your albums mixed up, brother.
Yeah, because they're both very similar because they both almost came at the same time.
Yeah, but Patient Number 9 was the more heavy one with Zakk Wylde on it and Eric Clapton and
and Jeff Beck, I think.
Yeah, so let's just say you meant to say Ordinary Man for number 12.
Yeah. Well, I'm not skipping it now because this was a very hard list to pick. And I was saying it to my kitchen hand last night at work. I'm like, I've listened to all the Aussie stuff and it really fucked my brain up. But like now I got to order it, rank it. And she goes, really? I'm like, yeah, but the thing is they're all good. And I'm like, why don't you just put it all as number 1? I'm like, I wish I could.
That's my thing with Black Sabbath, because I'm starting to think, should we just rank each era?
It's like Kiss.
But so are we going to say Ordinary Man?
Okay, so
since you got the albums mixed up, did you want to say Ordinary Man in place of?
Nah, I stick to my thing.
Okay, go ahead.
So I go Patient Number 9, then Scream.
Good album.
Because obviously it was Gus G's first album. There was maybe a few good tracks. Like the first song was actually pretty good. Like the intro, and then just goes into that heavy fucking riff, and the that's pretty cool. Then Ordinary Man was my next one. Then after that, Black Rain.
That's a great album, but Ozzy went kind of political with it.
He did, but Black Rain was a good song. Not Black Rain. Not Going Away is a great opener though.
I love that song.
And Black Rain, Don't Want to Stop. But there's too much of that squeals. No more squirrels, Zach.
No more squeals.
Yeah, that'll be cool. No Rest for the Wicked. I'm pretty sure that was Zach Wild's second album.
It was Zach Wild's second, I do believe. I could be mistaken. Let me look that up for you because I've got all the albums right in front of me. That was Zach's first album.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I felt like Ultimate Sin was maybe.
Ultimate Sin was Jake E. Lee.
Yeah. I get those two mixed up sometimes. Yeah, No Rest for the Wicked. Then Ultimate Sin. The only reason why I put Ultimate Sin at number 7 for me, very Van Halen.
I was mentioning that earlier that you thought it was very Van Halen-y.
Yeah. There was a song. Shit. What song was it? It sounded like Ain't Talk About Love.
Didn't you say that was Thank God for the Bomb?
I think so. I think it was that.
Yeah, it was Thank God for the Bomb.
It was very Ain't Talk About Love, but without the squeals.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Jake E. Lee didn't get fucking sued for that. I'm just saying. Yeah. Then after that, the top 5 was the top 6 was hard.
Yeah, it was.
It was fucking hard, but I put Down to Earth.
Great album.
Down to Earth. Bark at the Moon at number 5.
Same here.
Diary of the Madman was a hard one.
Yeah.
Because it was Rudy Sarzo's second album with Ozzy.
I do believe, yes.
Yeah, after Quiet Riot, I believe.
Yep, he left Quiet Riot because Randy Rhoads was in Quiet Riot with him, and he told Ozzy about Rudy, or vice versa, one or the other.
Yeah. Where are we? Then I put Osmosis.
That's a great fucking album. I was going to rank it higher, but it was hard to rank it above the classic albums.
Yeah, but Perry Mason, dude.
Great song.
Fucking great. And Zach Wild's guitar playing in Osmosis is fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing See You on the Other Side video clip was pretty cool. Then I picked No More Tears.
For number 2?
Yep. Had to put it up there, man, because No More Tears is the Black Album. I'm sorry to refer it as that, but yeah.
It really is. It's the fucking Ozzy's Black Album.
Oh, Dr. Feelgood, because that came nearly around that area.
So number 1
was Blizzard. The debut.
See, I love Blizzard, but I ranked Diary above it because Diary has more of like epic songs.
Yeah.
Like Diary of a Madman sounds like a goddamn orchestra. And that's what I liked about that one. But Blizzard, man, what better debut album? And I did mention earlier, and I will mention this to you because you may or may not know this. And by the way, I am going to pop up some of the albums. I forgot to do that. Before Ozzy Osbourne formed his solo group, it was called Blizzard of Oz.
Yeah.
And here's the original lineup. Frank Hill, Baz Dunnery, and Ozzy Osbourne.
Was it wasn't Randy Rhoads original?
No.
Gotcha.
Ozzy left in Black Sabbath in 1976 after the Technical Ecstasy tour, and he formed Blizzard of Oz. It was a 3-month project. He recruited that band, and then they broke up, and then he formed another band for Blizzard of Oz, and then he got back with Black Sabbath. There's only one rehearsal session that actually was recorded, but it's in one of the members' basements, and it's never seen the light of day.
Gotcha.
He rejoined Sabbath. They did Never Say Die, which was actually an album that was supposed to feature a different vocalist, because Ozzy was replaced during his time with Blizzard of Oz, and when Sabbath was doing their own thing, he was replaced by Dave Walker, who was a member of Savoy Brown and Fleetwood Mac. But Ozzy refused to sing any of the songs that he wrote, which led to one song being an instrumental and another one being sung by Bill Ward.
Fair enough.
And
but
then Ozzy left
but,
again.
But yeah, Blizzard of Oz. I just like that album cover.
Yeah, the album cover.
Yep. That album cover is fucking good. And I like how Blizzard of Oz was spelled like that.
Yeah.
Like Ozzy. But they're all good albums. There's no such thing as a shit album, but it's so hard. But I was actually listening to a lot of Ordinary Man though.
Ordinary Man was really good.
And then when I heard the Post Malone one, I skipped it. Even though no disrespect for Post Malone, he's a great artist, but he got famous for fucking singing in auto-tune.
True, but a lot of rappers did. But he can actually sing though.
Yeah, but have you noticed that Ozzy's been using a lot of auto-tune?
He has, and that's been going on since like the mid 2000s.
Yeah, wouldn't that be like the Down to Earth?
He did it on Black Rain. I think was the first time he used auto-tune.
Oh, okay.
I think
because probably that's one of the reasons why he sounds so fucking good.
if I'm not mistaken, Zakk Wylde actually did provide co-lead vocals on a track on, I think, Down to Earth or Osmosis.
Yeah, Down to Earth, dude, was a heavy album.
It was his heaviest album. I want to hear him do one with the members of Lamb of God, just to
walk with me in hell.
Yeah, walk with me through hell. Walk with me in hell.
I want to see him. I want to see Ozzy. Ozzy do Lay to Rest by Lamb of God.
So you would say your favorite album art was Blizzard, right?
Well, favorite album art would be Blizzard, and I'll probably fucking hell. This is hard.
There's a lot of great album art.
Yeah, Ordinary Man looks pretty cool because it's like the comeback album.
Yeah. You know? Ozzy's had 3 comeback albums, by the way.
Well, yeah. Yeah, but like this was like the first album in 10 years?
Yeah, because his last album was No More Tears.
Oh, yeah, the Black album.
Yeah, and then Osmosis was his first comeback album. I love that art.
That would be a pretty good wall art, actually. If I could put my face on top of his head, that'd be cool.
And then, if I'm not mistaken, he released Down to Earth, and then he took another break for the Osbournes, and then he did Black Rain, which was another comeback album.
That was very commercialized album, that one too.
It was. Ozzy went very commercial. He used to be threatening, and then he became like in everybody's homes. And then
I like the way how you said that, like he just popped in everybody's homes.
Yeah, he's like, I'm here.
Yeah, hi, motherfuckers.
But yeah, like Ozzy's had an amazing career. But what would you say is your favorite lineup?
I'm going to sleep. Man.
Let's make it easy. Let's make it easy.
No. I got this. The Rudy Sarzo and Randy Rhoads lineup with Tommy Aldridge on drums.
So you're saying that your favorite lineup from him would have to be, was that Diary or was that Blizzard?
It would have to be Blizzard and Diary because Tommy Aldridge Oh no, wait, he was only a session drummer, wasn't he? Live drummer.
On Blizzard of Oz, it was Lee Kirkslake, and on Diary of a Madman, it was also Lee Kirkslake. But Tommy Aldridge got writing credits, but he wasn't even on the album.
Yeah, but I classify him in the era too because like he played live shows too. You know that.
Yeah, he was the live drummer, but he wasn't the actual session drummer until the album after that, which was Bark at the Moon.
Yeah, but I would go with the Rudy Sarzo, Ozzy, Randy Rhoads, and Tommy Aldridge. Even though he, you know, like that, but and then after that, I'll probably go with two of the Zakk Wylde eras though.
Two of them.
Yeah, because I'd probably go with the Down to Earth lineup.
Okay, Down to Earth lineup.
Yeah, because I thought that lineup was wild because Robert Trujillo, dude, just came out of Suicidal Tendencies, I believe, at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark Baldwin, come on, from Faith No More.
Yeah, dude, that's a fucking amazing lineup.
And he played with Slayer for a couple of tours.
I was not aware of that.
Me either until I saw footage on TikTok. And no, I think it was 96. 96, I believe, when Dave Lovato kind of said bye-byes for a little bit. And then another one would be the other Zakk Wylde lineup with Ozzy. I think it was with Blasco.
Oh yeah, it was one of the most recent lineups. It would have been this lineup.
Yeah, the Black Rain one, I think it was.
Yeah, that was the Black Rain lineup.
You know what's really funny too? Pretty much Ozzy stole Rob Zombie's lineup.
All the time.
Yeah.
Like all the fucking time.
It's still like fucking Rob Zombie stole Zakk Wylde.
Could you imagine that album? It might work.
I don't know, man. I'm kind of happy that Riggs is back in the band.
I totally agree with you though on my favorite lineups because those would be my favorite. Now a very
what's that? No, go ahead.
A very underrated lineup would be Osmosis.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one too because Geezer Butler played in that album.
Yes,
and Randy Castillo's final album was Osmosis too.
Now the touring lineup is the one that's up on the screen because people will get confused. Who's that black-haired guy? Zakk Wylde left the band after Osmosis, and he was replaced by Joe Holmes.
Shit, I didn't know that.
It was Joe Holmes, Geezer Butler, Ozzy Osbourne, and I believe Dean Castronova.
Oh yeah, from Journey.
Yeah, that was the Osmosis touring lineup.
Because Randy Castillo went after Randy Castillo left from Ozzy, he went to join Motley Crue.
Oh yeah, when Tommy Lee left.
Yep, and then Randy Castillo left because he got really sick and died from cancer.
I did not know that.
He did. So Osmosis was his last album, I think.
Damn.
Yeah.
Did he not? Was he not on? Hold on. He wasn't on Osmosis.
Wasn't he?
No, he was on The Ultimate Sin, No Rest for the Wicked, and No More Tears.
Fuck. See, all these the lineup errors got me really fucked up with the albums that they played in.
His last album was New Tattoo.
Yeah.
Which was the Motley Crue album.
Yeah, and then he got really sick and he died from cancer.
He actually was performing, his last project ever was a mariachi band.
Well, he is Mexican.
Yeah. He actually didn't die from cancer.
Didn't he?
He had a really bad ulcer.
Oh, shit.
In his stomach and it exploded. They did.
Good.
they did surgery on him to save his life. And then in 2000, he took time off from Motley Crue to recover from his surgery, and then he found a small lump in his jaw. Yeah, he did die of cancer.
So he had stomach ulcer, then he had fucking cancer.
Yeah, he was recovering from a stomach ulcer and discovered a small lump on his jaw. And then found out that he had squamous cell carcinoma, whatever that is.
Sounds like someone's last name.
It's a common form of cancer that isn't usually fatal if it's caught early.
Yeah.
But it can spread rapidly if caught untreated. Now, he did go into remission in 2001. And it was rumored, what the fuck, phone? My phone just like made a bloop, 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 bloop noise. Did you hear that shit?
I thought that was my alarm.
I thought it was there too. Anyway, but he ended up possibly going back to Ozzy. He got cancer again, but it was more aggressive, and then he ended up dying in 2002 at the age of 51.
Fuck. Yeah.
He was actually working on a new band around the time of his death with Mike Inez.
From Alice in Chains. A very underrated bass player.
Which also, Mike Inez was also in and out of Ozzy. See, metal back then, bands switched members a lot. Like Black Sabbath. When Geezer Butler left Sabbath, he went to Ozzy. When he left Ozzy, he went back to Sabbath.
Well, it's that, but then there's heaps of different subgenres, switching genres.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that back in those days?
A lot of genres.
Like punk switching to metal and grunge switching to metal and metal switched to mariachi bands.
It's like, what the fuck, dude? A mariachi band.
Dude, a mariachi metal band. Ozzy was guest vocals in one of them.
I wonder if mariachi metal is really a thing.
It would have to be, because there is a Mexican metal band that Dino Cazares is in.
There is a band called Metalachi.
Is that like the Mexican version of Metalocalypse?
I guess. But they covered Bohemian Rhapsody.
Dude, we have to listen to that after this.
They have an album out that is all covers. It features songs Caught in a Mosh, Breaking the Law, Bohemian Rhapsody, Holy Diver, Thunderstruck, Separate Ways, We're Not Gonna Take It, Lucha, More Than Words, Welcome to the Jungle, Santeria.
More Than Words.
Yeah, from Extreme.
Are you kidding me? Holy fuck. Dude, I need to listen to if there's like that if there's like an album of all of this shit on Spotify, I'm definitely listening to it.
Found your new favorite band.
We're gonna react to it and put them on the show and make them big.
Speaking of React, Gorak, are you still able to join us for Pink Sock Reacts?
Yeah, I just checked the times because it did change, because your daylight savings went back. My daylight savings don't end to the end of March.
Are you able to do these episodes since it's much earlier for you?
It is now, because now I can just stay up instead of having naps, because now for me it's gonna be 3 a.m. Mm-hmm. So that means I could stay up all night for up to 3 a.m. And then if we go for an hour, at least I could sleep from 4 till midday.
Okay. That works for me. This Wednesday, we're going to be discussing The Devil's Rejects.
Ah, yes, my favorite.
And then tomorrow, we're going to be premiering our conversation. If I'm not mistaken, I get my days all fucked up. But Chiadura is tomorrow, right?
Yep.
We're going to be debuting our episode with Chiadura.
It's Neo from Matrix.
You son of a bitch.
What? I'm just saying. Fuck.
Did you want to take a break next? Well, like, we can still do the live episode, but did you want to take a break before we do the Black Sabbath episode? Because I'm not really ready for that yet.
I'm ready, because I've done it before on the Death Comes Lifting podcast, and I don't need to listen to it again, because there's some albums that I can't listen to anymore, and they're like
good.
Yeah, well, there's one album which I thought it was terrible.
Okay, I can't wait to hear this one.
But
we'll do it. We'll do it. I want to do it next week, so I'll just do it Monday. I've got only a few more albums to go through. I haven't really been listening to the albums. I've just been like listening to the songs I haven't heard.
Yeah. Because wasn't there an album that had Ice-T in it?
Yes.
And that was horrible as much as I like Ice-T.
I believe that same album was produced by Ice-T.
It was.
That album would have been, I'm trying to remember. What album was that?
That would have been the Tony Iommi solo albums.
No, it wasn't. It was an actual Black Sabbath album. Yeah. It was a Tony Martin album.
Oh, was it?
Forbidden. Actually, no. Yeah, it was Tony Martin's Forbidden.
Yeah. So did you have a favorite song from each album?
I could do that.
Like, you want to quickly pick your favorite songs from each album?
Not right now. I haven't heard all the albums yet.
No, from the Ozzy stuff.
Oh, from the Ozzy stuff? Oh my God, a favorite song of each album?
Yeah.
Oh my God, Gorak, you're doing this to me. Okay, favorite
you did
song.
to me with all this Ozzy shit that I have to listen to. Kind of annoyed the customers at work.
All right, I'm going to do this, but there's no turning back now. I'm just going to click on the album and pick a favorite song.
Yeah.
All right, Blizzard of Oz. My favorite song on Blizzard of Oz is Suicide Solution. How about you? Or do you want me to just keep going?
No, you go all the way, and then because I have to pick two.
Okay. Diary of a Madman would have been the title track, Diary of a Madman.
Yeah.
Bark at the Moon. Waiting for Darkness.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
Ultimate Sin. Shot in the Dark.
Very 80s.
No Rest for the Wicked, Crazy Babies. That one was quick.
That video clip was weird.
It was very weird.
Was that in the farm or in a barn?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember my friend showed me that video clip and he goes, "Oh, look, fucking pigs or whatever it was."
When it comes to No More Tears, I have two favorites.
Yeah.
But I have to pick one, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Tinker Train. Now,
that's a great opener.
I Don't Want to Change the World is like one of my favorite Ozzy songs, but when it comes to like picking a song off that album that I love the most, Mr. Tinker Train. It's an incredible song.
That sounds like it just sounds weird. Tinker Train.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Tinker Train.
Osmosis. Damn, this one's hard. Perry Mason. Down to Earth. My favorite song on Down to Earth is probably, oh God, That I Never Had.
Yeah, the opening riff is pretty cool.
Yeah, That I Never Had. Either that or Facing Hell.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd go with that.
Black Rain. Not Going Away.
Yeah.
Scream. Oh God, I'll have to go with Let It Die.
Yeah.
Ordinary Man. The title track, Ordinary Man.
Yeah.
Either that or Under the Graveyard, because I do love me some Elton John, and that's a perfect blend of Ozzy and Elton.
Yeah, that album was that song really hit. That song really hit really huge.
Yeah, whenever you think Ozzy and Elton, you think that's not going to work, but it did. Oh, Patient Number 9. Probably either No Escape From Now or 1,000 Shades. I'll probably go with 1,000 Shades.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'll start from the beginning because these are hard.
You started it.
Yeah, I know, but so with Blizzard of Oz, I would have to go with the instrumental D.
Oh my God, such a good song.
It's such a beautiful classical guitar instrumental that only goes for 50 seconds, but it's so beautifully done. And I've seen so many people cover this. My mate can play this can play this song as well.
The song was about Randy Rhoads' mom, Dolores.
That's a fucking good tribute, man.
Mm-hmm.
Diary of Madman. Oh, man. If I can just put all the track listings in one letter, I'll go Believer.
Great song.
Because have you seen the Live in Budokan concert?
That is the best live concert footage of Ozzy Osbourne. Of course, I've seen it.
That's when I was a really big fan of Zakk Wylde. Then, Bark at the Moon, I will probably have to pick. I'm going underrated. I'm going with Rock and Roll Rebel.
Nothing wrong with that. See, I love every song.
People would have went with their hits, but Rock and Roll Rebel is a good track.
I didn't go with hits the whole time, so you're good.
Ultimate Sin. I would have to go with Ain't Talk About Love. No, I'm joking. The Ultimate Sin's a good song.
Mm-hmm.
Very good song. Very catchy too. No Rest for the Wicked. I would have to go with Miracle Man.
Good choice.
Yeah, it was Fire in the Sky. Sounded like a cover, but it wasn't.
No, it was not.
Yeah. No More Tears, and this one's a fucking hard one. Road to Nowhere.
That's a great song.
Because Road to Nowhere and Mama and Coming Home feels like those two should be connected as like a sequel. Hellraiser is also good because Motorhead fucking cover it too.
Motorhead wrote it.
Oh, did they?
Lemmy wrote it with Ozzy. He wrote a lot of Ozzy songs.
On that era?
Around that era, he wrote Mama, I'm Coming Home. He wrote... Hold on, just keep going with your list and I'll find out what all songs he wrote.
Osmosis. Well, Lemmy wrote. Oh, okay. I'll probably go Perry Mason, but Lemmy wrote "See You on the Other Side," and Steve Vai did "Little Man."
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, man.
Lemmy actually wrote I think 6 Ozzy songs.
Down to Earth was a hard one because there's so many good tracks in this as well. I was going to go with either Junkie Dreamer, but it gets me through. The video, I remember seeing the video clip for the first time and it freaked me out.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a heavy song. Great guitar solo too. Black Rain, I'll probably have to go with Not Going Away. It's a great opener.
That is.
Although I Don't Want to Stop was good, but yeah. Scream. Scream 6 was good. No, I'm joking.
Watching that tomorrow.
Are you watching that movie tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Fuck it, dude. My mate saw it. He said it was average, but I thought it was good. It was better than Scream 4.
I'll let you know what I think.
Yeah, but we'll talk about it after the podcast. Shit. Soul Sucker's a great song on Scream.
Scream had a lot of great songs that didn't get much radio play.
No, but this was Gus G's first album and first and only album, I think.
Unfortunately, it is his only album.
Yeah, but he was a good guitar player, man. Him and Zakk Wylde were different guitar players, but Zakk Wylde praised him. Did you hear the story on how Zakk Wylde got the job with Ozzy?
How Zakk got the job?
Yeah.
I don't think I have. I may have.
You want me to tell you the story?
Go ahead.
So apparently, Zakk Wylde was working in a gas station. Oh, actually, no, he was going to a gas station to fill up his car, and he saw Ozzy there. And then I think he went up to Ozzy saying that he was a fan, and Ozzy's like, "Oh, I'm looking for a guitar player." And then Zakk Wylde said, "Yeah, I can play guitar."
And then that was it.
Audition and got the job. Yeah. Isn't that weird?
That is weird. Wasn't Zakk in a band, Pride and Glory, I think was the name of it, before he went to Ozzy?
Yeah. And I think he was like 18 at the time.
Damn. Probably one of Ozzy's youngest guitarists.
Yeah, he was only young at the time. Straight to Hell is my favorite song on this. Chad Smith was on this too. Fuck, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Chad Smith was on damn near every track, I think.
Duff McKagan was on there. Slash was on 1 and 4. Shit. Tom Morello?
Yeah, the whole album had amazing list of people that was on it.
Wait, Travis Scott? What the fuck?
Yeah, he was on one song, I think.
Shit. This is like an Alice Cooper record. And Patient Number 9. This was hard. No Escape From Now with Tony Iommi. I could have picked Parasite, or because Zakk Wylde wrote fucking heaps of fucking songs on this, but the first time I've listened to No Escape From Now with Tony Iommi was very good. Very good album.
Didn't Zakk only write the solos on those songs though?
No, it was Tony Iommi.
Oh, I thought you were meaning Zakk Wylde. Yeah,
I think Zakk Wylde only did the solos.
Yeah, Zakk only did the solos. I think Tony helped write some of the songs.
Yeah, and Robert Trujillo was mostly of the song, or was in this album too.
So, to cover the songs that Lemmy wrote, since you were wondering, he wrote "See You on the Other Side." He wrote "I Don't Want to Change the World," "Desire," and he also wrote "Hellraiser." And if I'm not mistaken, let me double check. I think those are the only songs he wrote. Yeah, he helped write on 2 albums.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty cool. But Greg, anything you want to mention before we cut this episode off?
Go and watch Scream 6.
Go and watch Scream 6. And go check out all of Ozzy's albums down below. There they all are. It takes 3 days, 2 or 3 albums a day, and you'll get through these. Or 4 days, and you do 3 albums a day.
Well, if you are tired ass and just listen to an album a day, then there's something wrong with you there.
Yeah, there's something wrong with you. But don't forget, tomorrow at noon Eastern Standard Time, Chayadura is where we talked about mental health and all kinds of cool stuff on that episode. And then we have the Devil's Rejects episode premiering soon. That is not premiering, but live. We're going to be live Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard Time. And then next week, I'm going to try to bust out Sabbath albums. We're going to be doing a Black Sabbath ranking. I really just want to do Ozzy era and then do other eras, but we can't do that. So we are going to be...
We'll be here forever for that, bro.
Yeah. So we're going to be ranking Black Sabbath albums.
We could rank every Ozzy song ever written from bad to worst.
Fuck that.
Oh, come on.
Black Sabbath is a harder task though, because they have a lot of albums.
Yeah.
Like what, 19 albums maybe?
Yeah. Now, all I'm going to say, the album 13, which it's not up there on the list. Oh, it is. It is. Don't worry, my bad. The album 13, I know it's not with the original lineup, but dude, Brad Wilk did such a good job in that album.
That album was fucking incredible. I keep thinking Tommy Clufetus played on it, but I know he did, and he did the tour, didn't he?
No, yeah, but having Brad Wilk from Rage Against the Machine playing drums, he wasn't expecting that. He just got asked to do it and said, yeah.
Well, fuck, I would say yeah, too.
That's what Tommy Clufetus said when he got asked to join the Ozzy band. He's not going to say no.
So
he's going to leave Rob Zombie.
Poor Zombie.
Yeah.
Zombie has had so many members leave. So Tommy, I'm not mistaken, he did tour with Sabbath. He just never was on an album.
Nope. He was just a touring drummer.
Yeah, he toured for their final tour.
Yeah. If it wasn't for Sharon being a bitch with money and with Bill Ward and stuff, then it would have been a proper farewell tour with Bill Ward on drums.
Do you think it had more to do with like Bill Ward not being able to play those songs anymore, or do you think it was actual personal reasons?
No, I think it was personal reasons because he confirmed that he was in the band. Then a few hours later, he said he's not going to be in the band because of, I think it's because with the money. It's always got to do with the money, and obviously Sharon has control of the band.
That sucks.
But it would have been nice to still Bill Ward just to play behind the kit for one last time. But I know Bill Ward is still drumming. I know he's got like a jazz band, I think just like a hard rock band.
I know he was solo there for a while. He released a solo album in 2015.
Oh yeah, that album was weird.
Accountable Beasts was the name of it.
Yeah, that album was weird. Like, it was okay, but it was weird, man.
He also drummed on Iommi's solo album.
Tony Iommi's solo albums were great.
His solo albums were weird, though, because, like, the one song that Bill Ward played on, Ozzy sung on, so it was like a Black Sabbath song.
Without Geezer?
Without Geezer. It had Lawrence Cottle on bass.
Wasn't there an Iommi album? And it had, it was a compilation album with different artists.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we'll cover this. We've done this on the Sabbath Sunday podcast. And it was good, but halfway through I had to stop.
Why is that?
It just gotten from really good to really worse.
What album was that?
Shit, I can't even remember, eh?
Because he only has one solo album that I know of. And it featured a lot of people. It had Henry Rollins on it.
I think it was that one.
It had Dave Grohl on it.
Yeah, because it was yeah, I don't know what happened, man. It was just like, I don't know, dude. Sometimes it's good to experiment with things, but yeah, dude,
not like that. But guys, that was Pink Sock Podcast. We discussed Ozzy Osbourne's career. Check out all the episodes we have coming up. It's all over our Facebook page. Hit that like, subscribe, and share button. Thank you all for listening. I love you all. And as always, live long, rock hard, and go check out all the podcasts we have in our description below. Love y'all.
Bye-bye.